There are some jobs in this world that feel almost too extraordinary to even dream about. One of those being getting to train as an astronaut in the hopes that one day you'll make it to space. In today's episode, I sit down on stage with fighter jet pilot and astronaut trainee Aleš Svoboda, as he shares his journey from dreaming of Top Gun to training for a mission to the International Space Station. Ever wondered what it takes to get to space? Well, you've come to the right place. Oh, that rhymed. Hey everyone, my name is Tilly. Welcome back to Tilly Talks Tech. This episode took place at the Nova Spirala live from Prague. Like my Q&A episode I did a couple of episodes ago, which you guys really liked. This talk took place at the same event where I got to interview an astronaut trainee and fighter jet pilot. What? Despite him always being up in the air and planning to go to space, he's a very down-to-earth guy, and he told me all the ins and outs of what it was like training to be an astronaut and being selected to go up to space on the European space mission. Out of 22,000 people, he was selected. And it has not been a short journey by any means. Without any further ado, I'm going to play you the interview, which takes place on a nice spinning square stage if you're watching the visual version. If you're listening, you're going to have to come to YouTube and check it out. Take it away, Tilly. Hello everybody and welcome back. We're at Futureport Youth and it is time for our second segment. Based on the drum roll we did earlier, I think a lot of people are looking forward to this bit. We're talking all about space, the new space age and how that's going to affect us in the future. And we've got some epic speakers coming up. We've got one guy who's been to space already, so he can tell us all about that. And we have another guy who's training for an upcoming mission, an astronaut trainee. How cool is that? So our next guest embodies what it means to turn ambition into trajectory. From flying supersonic jets to now training to be an astronaut himself, he represents not only personal determination, but also the Czech Republic's leap into a new era of space exploration. Please welcome fighter pilot and astronaut trainee Aleš Svoboda. Welcome,
Cheers.
Welcome Aleš. And you got the full kit.
Oh yeah.
I love to see it.
For free, right?
Yeah, and representing the Czech Republic.
Oh yeah, that's
that. Flag on the sleeve.
humongously big flag for whatever reason, but yeah.
Yeah, of course.
It's a nice fit.
Why not?
Why
Czech
not,
and
right?
proud, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's touring.
Yeah, and you know what? The Czech Republic, actually, I found this at the last couple of Futureport Youths I've been at. They're actually pretty big leaders when it comes to space and space exploration, which I had no idea, but it is really, really cool. And you're a person who is obviously training to be an astronaut now, which is awesome. And just quickly, raise your hand in the room if you, as a kid, you know, I think it's the standard, it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? How many people wanted to be an astronaut? How many people wanted to go to space? Yeah? Right? It's got to be the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, like half the people.
And is that something you always wanted to do? Did you want to be an astronaut when you were younger?
Yeah, I've always wanted to do something cool. So when I was a young kid, like 3, 4, 5 years old, I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
And you know, later on, when we got those fancy movies on TV like Top Gun, or Iron Eagle, that kind of cemented my ambition, and it stuck around till basically graduation from high school. So when I graduated from high school, I already decided to go to the University of Defense, which is basically our Air Force Academy, where you study for being a future pilot, either a fighter pilot or a helicopter pilot, transport pilot.
Yeah.
So that was my ambition, my big goal, and the astronaut thing was like something as a bonus, something extra coming after it potentially. So yeah.
Up and up.
Yeah.
Like the way you wanted to do something cool, you're definitely doing that. And talk to me about being a fighter jet pilot. How did that come about? And obviously, I imagine there was quite strenuous training to get there. So talk us through that process. I know we just saw in the expo, people were like flying jets in like a simulator. Did you have to do any of that? How close to that is the real thing?
Yeah, we fly sims all the time. I mean, right now it's about 10 to 20% of the training is synthetic based. We're moving towards 50-50 split. So in the coming years, with the new fighter jets coming, we will do the majority actually of our training on the sims. For various reasons, because when you're flying on a sim, you don't need to stick to those rigid safety rules.
Sure.
Because the number one priority when doing flight training is not to kill ourselves, right? Not to hit each other in the air. And the sim, the rules are less stringent, and you can also The other reason is for classification purposes, because when you're flying out there in the real world, everyone can see you, everyone can see your tactics and everything.
Yeah.
But on the sim, it's encapsulated environment, so you can train full up tactics, and it's actually more cost effective, because you can crank out like multiple sorties within a day for close to zero cost. So why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Seriously. And did you check out the sim in the expo? Have you been to the expo yet?
Yeah, I've been down there, but it was a bit crowded, but and almost no air.
Sure. Yeah, I know it gets pretty hot in there.
Similar to space as we just discussed. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but I feel like I feel like people would part the crowd for, the astronaut trainee, and you can show us how it's done in a fighter jet pilot. But what do you think was like most surprising for you in training?
In astronaut training and training for an astronaut, well, I would say one of the typical aspects of astronaut training is that you need to become very general in everything. You have to be the jack of all trades, master of none. So you have to know a little bit of everything, little bit of orbital mechanics, little bit of anatomy, a little bit of diving, a little bit of geophysics, meteorology. You're not necessarily becoming an expert in any of those fields, but you need to know everything and have a basic understanding and attain basic skills. So the whole astronaut training is split into two big parts. The first one is called basic training, where everyone arrives from different backgrounds, and you learn those very general basic skills, which are universal for any orbital mission. And then later on, when you're assigned to a specific mission, you do what's called mission-specific training, and it's very tailored towards, it's customized towards a specific mission. So you take what you have learned during the basic training, and you customize it, and you make it more specific towards the launch vehicle, the spacecraft, the orbital station, and the specific project and experiments you're going to be working on. So that's it.
There's a lot that goes into it then.
For us, it's a 6 months training program, which is split into 3 separate parts or consequent parts. So I've completed the first 2 parts. So the third is still to go next year, next spring. We can actually see some visuals from the recent training. This is the 0G plane. That's actually the only one in Europe. There's one in the US. There's one in Europe, and it's a very cool thing. You can use it for various things, but the primary reason why we have a 0G plane is to train astronauts. So we go there. It's an empty plane. There's nothing in it. It's just empty fuselage, empty thing. And we take off, 6, 7, 8 guys, plus some instructors, plus some safety people. We fly over the sea to a dedicated area, and then we fly there for about 2 hours and do these parabolas where we have 0G for about 20-25 seconds. So we do like 30 of them, and we go from very simple things to more advanced stuff. Yeah. And that's for us to get used to the 0G environment, to the microgravity, and how to work with our own body, how to rotate, how to translate, how to combine all these things together, and how to use very simple tools. Because even very simple things, when they are done in zero gravity, can become very difficult.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, how was that the first time you did it? Because, I mean, you're a pro now, I assume, right? Like, you're literally preparing to go up
Semi-pro. I'm still learning. Like.
Yeah, semi-pro.
Yeah.
He's very humble. But yeah, like, how was that the first time? Because I reckon if I did that, I'd be ready to throw up. Was it like that? How was the adjustment?
Yeah, it was very cool, actually. We all adjusted, I would say, quite quick and easily. And well, there's a learning curve. It's not just about getting used to the feeling, because getting used to the feeling is one thing, but being productive and efficient, and not having to worry about if I bump into something, or what do I need to do if I want to move from point A to point B. It's another thing, because you can see it, for example, in the last short duration mission on ISS, which is the Axiom 4, on which my classmate from ESA. My Polish friend Slavoj Znanski flew, and he received exactly the same training, multiple zero-G flights. and some of his crewmates did not. And you could see the difference, when they entered, when they docked to ISS, when they entered the modules and flew in. You could, and during their first couple of days working on ISS, when they are really busy doing all the scientific and technological experiments, you could see the difference. So the training is there for a reason, and we are very glad to have the cutting-edge training, the best training that we can get here in Europe.
Yeah, the training is vital. I mean, if you go into space, you want to be prepared.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, pretty hard to get help up there, isn't it? You want to know what you're doing for sure. And to a lot of people, the idea of like astronauts and that job in general is like extraordinary. It feels like a superhero-esque job. Like, what do you mean you're going up there? And I'm interested to know, what was the biggest hardship for you? Was that the training, or was it kind of adjusting mentally to how you were going to be up there? Obviously, you're so far away from everybody as well. What do you think is your biggest hardship? Maybe you're still going through it because you're still preparing.
Yeah, you bet. I mean, I think the biggest hardship was after the selection.
Sure.
Because, before the selection, you're working on a different career. You can't become an astronaut right after high school, or right after college, right? So you need to have a pretty successful career already, even before you apply. Then you apply, and there's a whole process. So for us in Europe, it's not like in the US where you have astronaut selection every few years. In Europe, it's like every 10 or 15 years. So you have like one shot usually in your life, and it's a whole process. It took like 18 months, different stages. But the most difficult part was after it, because during the selection you just arrive at a phase of the selection. You're prepared. You prepare yourself as much as you could. You do your best and then see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And if you're good enough, you're lucky enough, you're invited to the next stage and the next stage, and then all of a sudden it's you and your 16 friends selected out of 22,000 people, and you're there, and that's it. But then there's the announcement of the new class of astronauts. And then what, right? Like, what's the plan? What's the plan now? Well, there's no plan. So, so it's for everyone, because it's very difficult in the human spaceflight business to think ahead with in specific terms for like 5, 10, 15 years. So there's no guarantee you will ever fly. There's no plan for everyone. The opportunities need to come up, or needs to be helped to come up. So that's probably the most difficult part.
Yeah, because you're going through all this work, training to get there, but then the last bit is like hope that you finally get to put these skills to the test. Otherwise, you're just a trained astronaut and you're just like on the ground. What's that about?
Yeah, exactly.
So talk to us about this Czech mission that you're going on. You're going to be going up in space. Talk us through what that mission is, when you're going to be up there, when we can start waving at the moon and knowing that Aleš is up there.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. Basically, in the first half of this year, our government made a decision to go ahead with a national project. It's called the Czech Space Journey, and it's not just about the mission to the ISS. The national mission to the ISS is the center point and the biggest part of the project. But there are many activities related to that, and our goal is to inspire younger generation, inspire kids, involve students, pupils, young people, and teachers in the mission and in all the activities. One of the examples of doing that was the mission 0G, as we call it, which was using exactly this plane, the 0G plane that we use to train ourselves. We brought it to Prague, to the Czech Republic, and we ran some sort of competition which mimicked the astronaut selection process. And we selected 26 students and kids who became part of the 0G crew and had the opportunity to experience exactly the same as we experienced during the astronaut training. So that's just one example of those activities. And another goal we have, and it's probably the major goal or the primary goal, is to provide an opportunity for top Czech science and for top Czech technology to go to the ISS. Because if there was no national mission, no Czech mission to the ISS, and this is not just about Czech Republic, it's true for every smaller or medium-sized country in Europe, there would be no opportunity for Czech science, Czech research, and Czech technology to actually go to the ISS and take the next giant leap. So that's our goal, and with this in mind, we just recently announced 13 top Czech scientific and technological projects that will fly on board the Czech national mission to the ISS in 2027, which is our goal. We want to fly on what is called PAM6. It's a mission that's scheduled for the end of 2027. Right now, the ball is, figuratively speaking, on the European Space Agency side, who is negotiating on our behalf with NASA and with the US companies who will provide that spaceflight. So we're tracking. There's still a lot that needs to be done, mostly on the legal and contractual side,
Sure.
but we're still tracking and we're still good to go.
Okay, that's epic. And looking ahead, what do you think will be the next big milestone for like human spaceflight, say in the next like 10 to 15 years?
Well, I think in even shorter time frame, like 5 to 10 years, the next big thing will be commercialization of LEO, of the low Earth orbit. So we can see it already. You know, in the past, launches, the transportation of human crew to orbit and bring them safely back was a business done by those big space agencies like NASA, the Federal Space Agency, or ESA, European Space Agency. But that shifted towards commercial companies. So you can see that right now, people flying on US vehicles are flying with SpaceX. You know, they're flying on a US commercial launch vehicle and on a US commercial spacecraft. There's a similar initiative here in Europe to develop our own reusable cargo resupply spacecraft and potentially human spacecraft. So the same shift from operating space shuttles by agencies and moving that towards the commercial sector, the same shift is going to happen with orbital stations. So right now, you have the ISS, the International Space Station, which is operated by 15 countries, by governmental or intergovernmental agencies. But there's going to change very soon. There's going to be at least 2 or 3 commercial space stations in low Earth orbit in the coming years, and they will be provided as an infrastructure, as a service for those big agencies and for countries. So if you're a guy or girl in a country in Europe, and your country or your company or whoever or your organization wants to do some research in space in the coming years, you do not do it with in cooperation with those big humongous let's say public organizations and agencies. You can get everything on the free market, and that's amazing, because whenever you expose stuff to the free market, then you offload the risk, you offload the costs, and you also introduce competition, so it further brings the cost down.
That's really interesting. And theoretically, just a show of hands, if we could just take a day trip to the moon, who wants to do that? Raise your hand. Who would be scared? Raise your hand if you'd be scared. Raise your hand if you'd be so down. Cool. We'll all jump on Aleš's, shall we? We just jump on your rocket and come up there with you. That would be super cool. And like we said, you're going to be jetting off into space. And I was asking you before, like, are you excited about that? Because I feel like when you've had this vision and gone through so much of this training, and like you said, you've got past this final selection process where you are, in fact, going up there. I don't know about you, but I'd be so excited, right? Are you excited, or is that kind of like you've been doing this so long now, like, let's get it over with? How is your mindset going towards this final stretch before you
know what, you need to manage your expectations, because it's a long journey and a lot of things needs to happen. A lot of those things which had needed to happen had already happened, but there's still so much needs to be done. So you need to manage your expectations. It's a very complicated process, technically, and the organizational and management side of things, and financially, and so on. So there's a lot of things that can go wrong even before the mission is a thing, but we're on a good trajectory, and we all hope that it's all going to go well, and that we will exploit this great opportunity which we have for our industry, for our kids in the schools, and for our country, and for our research in science and technology. So we all hope that we will stay in this amazing trajectory we're on, and that's what keeps us motivated, and it's what keeps the excitement.
Heck yeah, and we've got that poll on the screen right now. Would you go to space if invited tomorrow? How does that make you feel seeing that? How much of the youth want to go? Because guys, I'd be a bit scared, but you guys seem keen. How does that make you feel seeing that? How many people want to Want to go
Yeah,
to
it's
space.
like almost everyone, like 80%. Well,
Yeah. So, on that note, if a young person in the audience today dreams of being part of a Moon or Mars mission, what would you tell them to start doing tomorrow to prepare for that?
To start, well, I think regardless of what dream you have, I think we are lucky enough to be living in a world where anything is possible for everyone. Let me give you an example. One of my friends and one of my classmates in the ESA Astronaut team is John McFall from United Kingdom.
Yes.
And he's an amazing guy, but unfortunately, when he was, I think, 19 or something like that, he had an accident on a bike. And he lost his leg below the knee.
Yeah.
So he's been living with a physical disability since then. But he's been able to achieve amazing things. He's become a surgeon, a very successful surgeon. He's become an Olympic medalist. And then on top of that, he became part of our astronaut class.
Yeah.
And he's completed a pilot study called FLY, Fly ! Project, which main goal was to prove that people with certain physical disabilities can function as fully capable and professional astronauts on an orbital mission.
Yeah.
So that feasibility study is already completed, and he played a major role in that. Yeah. And I hope that he will get his spaceflight assignment soon, and he will prove that he's such a great guy as he has been so far.
Which is amazing. I have researched all about him, and yeah, that is incredible. I think moral of the story here is that anybody can do it. There's no limitations anymore. It's a long process, but there's no like, okay, you can't do it because you're this way, you know, and you're going to be up there relatively soon, which is amazing. Give it up for Aleš, everybody, and we can't wait to see you up there.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.